Polish is so rich, so expressive, so beautiful, and all of the writers I've translated, whether it's Mickiewicz or Gombrowicz or Myśliwski or Słowacki or Kochanowski, Żeromski, I could go on and on. Each of them drinks from this well of the beautiful Polish language. People talk about it being a poetry and the national epic. It makes it sound very serious, but it really actually isn't necessarily. It's very funny in parts, it's very lively. It's really a novel in verse. And so it has lots of interweaving storylines. There's a love story, there is a family feud about a castle which two families claim. There's a political intrigue. It's set in 1811 and 1812, so people are trying to organize a Polish uprising to join Napoleon on his way to invade Russia. So it's got all of these things. It's also about Mickiewicz's childhood as well. It's filled with very warm and funny recollections of the people that he knew, and there's a recipe for bigos in the middle of there. There is a lot about mushroom hunting and actually bear hunting as well. So it gives a whole picture of this life kind of on the edges of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, so far out in what's today Belarus. He was born in this place which is quite far from Warsaw and Kraków and all of the cities that we typically think of as Polish. He was born in what's today Belarus. He was educated in what's today Lithuania. And he thought of himself very much as a Pole ethnically. He wrote in Polish. But he was also aware of this multicultural, multilingual heritage and this very beautiful part of the world that he came from. He got into trouble with the Tsarist authorities. He was born just after partition, so he never really knew an independent Poland. He got into trouble with the authorities. He was exiled and ended up living in Western Europe, or Europe generally. He never went back to his homeland. And he wrote this book when he was in his mid-30s, and there had just been a failed uprising, and so he was trying to, in a sense, overcome that trauma and the trauma of the loss of nationhood. And he describes himself in his epilogue. He retreated into memories of childhood and this world which was lost to him in many ways. He wanted to recreate it and explain what it meant to him. Well, one of the reasons that I chose to translate this book, I love it. It's considered very important in Poland. Polish people love it. But I think also it's a good example of a Polish book which is very accessible to non-Polish readers. As I said, there's a love story, there are political intrigues, there are neighbors who get into a big fight. There's lots of things which are very easily understandable. I think it also speaks to anybody who has a fond memory of their childhood, and especially anybody who has perhaps moved from where they were brought up, because there's this sense of you can't go back, but you can remember that memory is our one refuge. And so he takes refuge in his remembrance of childhood, of the people he knew, of what they did. And so I think there's a lot in there for almost anybody anyone who's grown up, and especially anybody who's grown up and moved or seen things change around them. I think it's a really universal story in many ways.